Let's do it all with our commodities guest, Bloomberg oil strategist Julian Lee. And Julian, before we get into the specifics of oil, there was a great story out on the terminal highlighting if this was a commodity super cycle and this structurally inflationary regime that is underway. Do you see that?
I think this is a really, really interesting question. Is this something structural that's going to last, or is this just a post-pandemic bounce that's going to be temporary and is going to filter out? On the one hand, I think, during the pandemic, we've seen people unable to spend on services, so they've been spending on goods. That has, I think, stretched supply chains, and it's obviously required a boost in raw materials to make the automobiles and all the other things that people have been buying. So there certainly is that element to it. But then you hear things like the infrastructure plan that you were reporting on just a few minutes ago, and talk of 1,000 bridges to be repaired in the United States, rolling out broadband internet connection. I mean, that's going to take huge amounts of steel, potentially copper, and all sorts of other raw materials. You've got similar things going on in other parts of the world, and you can really make, I think, quite a convincing argument that this is something much more than just a post-pandemic bounce.
Less than transitory. I want to first of all, Julian, say thank you for tuning in with us when you could be watching the celebrations of England versus Germany in the soccer, but you're here with us and we thank you for it.
Fortunately, the match is over, so
exactly.
We're all very happy here.
You celebrate with us on live television instead. We thank you for tuning in. Talk to us about what's happening in terms of oil next week, because in a way, OPEC Plus, time to celebrate for them. Prices on the rise. Are they going to be helping the rest of the market by increasing supply somewhat?
Well, this is another big question that we're facing at the moment. The group and their non-OPEC allies, Russia, the biggest of them, are meeting on Thursday this week. What they're going to be discussing then is what they'll do in August. They already have a plan to put close to 1 million barrels a day of supply back into the market from the 1st of July. That's been agreed and signed off on, and that will happen. What they're looking at is what to do in August and potentially beyond. We seem to have a very sort of similar difference of opinion to ones that we've seen many times over the last year or so. Russia pressing for an output increase, Saudi Arabia taking a much more cautious approach. And really, I think we're still waiting to see how that dynamic is going to play out. They were supposed to be holding a monitoring committee meeting tomorrow ahead of the full ministerial meeting. We understand that ministerial monitoring committee has now been pushed back to Thursday, so there's going to be an awful lot to get through on Thursday. But the reason that they've pushed that back is to give more time for discussions between the members to try and reach a common policy stance ahead of the meeting. Whatever happens, the suspicion at the moment is that they will agree an output increase, but probably not big enough to fully offset the expected increase in demand. And they're facing a lot of uncertainties themselves, the strength of the recovery, the possible return of Iranian crude, and that is leading the Saudis in particular to take a very cautious stance.